Now for the eighth wonder of the world, basically a geek show. And here are your hosts, Mike and Jack.
Welcome to episode number 57 of Basically a Geek Show, coming at you semi-live from my secluded fortress in the mountains of eastern Kentucky. With me, a couple of rooms over, is Mike.
What up? It's a bags first, actually basically a podcast first, one of our shows, of the 3.5 we do, coming at you with all members of the cast in the same location. I am broadcasting with Jack from Pikeville, Kentucky. Actually it's gonna be a first in a couple days when I record basically a sports show, with Zach and Greg. It'll be the first time basically a sports show has happened with all its cast members within the United States. And, Jack, you're also gonna make your Bass debut.
Yeah, at the very least I'll be chiming obscenities from the background.
Mm-hmm.
I may actually even be on the show. That's left to be decided yet. That's up to Greg, whatever he wants to do.
Don't be a buzzkill, Greg.
I don't care one way or the other. But, so yeah, anyways, little bit of a different format for our show tonight. Mostly just him and I. We have a few talking points that we want to go over on a few things. We had, E3 this week, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of shit happened there that was really interesting. And we'll get to that in a little bit. Though, starting off, both of us did see Jurassic World this week.
Yes.
And, for once, we actually largely came away from it with pretty much the same impression. This movie, while not a god-awful abomination, it's good and a bit better than it has any business being, rightfully.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the trailers, I still maintain, looking back at the trailers, you look at these trailers and it's a cynical cash grab, but, I'm not gonna say it didn't come off as a cynical cash grab, but at least came off as an enjoyable cynical cash grab, if that makes any sense. I'd say second best in the series, honestly. I disagree with a lot of people in that I think 2 was actually decent. Not good, but decent.
I actually thought it was good. I still think Jurassic World is better, though. I still agree that it is the second best in the franchise.
I mean,
purely in spite of itself.
I mean, nothing's gonna touch the original. I thought 2 was decent. I know you like 3, Jack. I'm actually not all that sold on it. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Alan Grant. Probably my favorite character from, the series. And I enjoyed him in 3, but 3 in general just didn't do it for me. And, but yeah, so this is easily number 2 in the series, even though it didn't have either Malcolm or Grant. And I think I would have liked just a brief cameo, of Sam Neill as Alan Grant, like maybe after the happenings of the movie.
Even if it was just like a cutaway scene of Alan Grant watching the news and he's
exactly.
God damn it. You know. It shows him just like leaning over and turning his cell phone off.
No, he's just watching the news. He's like,
Fuck me.
He doesn't even say anything. It's just a loud sigh. It's either that or it cuts to a scene of Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm watching the news together, and Alan Grant's just like, sucks to be Lim. And Ian Malcolm's like, yep, pass the chips.
Yep.
But, I want to talk a bit about it because, like, okay. Jurassic World is never going, Jurassic World and any subsequent, movies that they make of the series, and they're gonna make more because this movie beat out the fucking Avengers when it came to...
Beat out. Didn't you say it was the, biggest opening that North America's ever had?
Biggest opening in both Canada and the United States, yeah. In history. Beat out Avengers, beat out both Avengers and the last Harry Potter movie.
Which I don't get because, okay, it doesn't deserve that. It's not that great of a movie.
No, it doesn't, but...
I mean, it's not bad, but it's not all that great either.
But you and I were talking about this earlier, Jack, and like I was 6 when Jurassic Park came out. You were 16 when Jurassic Park came out.
Yeah.
And even though there's like around 10 years difference between us, I think in terms of demographics, we still fall into the same broad demographic.
Right.
And I think as a result of that, like a lot of people your age and younger, your age to my age, people who would have remembered the original film,
Yeah.
they're saying, okay, this film might suck. This film might be a cynical cash grab, but god damn it, it's Jurassic Park, so they went.
Yeah, and I get that.
I mean, it's the same thing, like, I ran into one of my friends from high school when Transformers, when the first Transformers live action film came out, and, I was there, and I saw him, and I'm like, dude, you're here? He's like, yeah, of course, and I'm like, I've seen it 5 times. How many times have you seen it? He's like, I've seen it 4 times, man. So it's one of those things, right, where, you know, you tap into that right nostalgic, I guess, train of thought, and, you know, we're just like fucking putty.
Yeah, I get it. And the thing is, this movie is very aware of that. I mean, it puts itself forward as, like, the rightful heir, the rightful sequel to the original.
Yeah,
more so than any of the previous movies have.
It's
honestly.
interesting. It's interesting because they established that there's 2 dinosaur islands, basically. One in which the first film took place on.
Yeah, and then Site B.
And then Site B. And Site B was the setting for 2 and 3. And so this is actually the first time we've gone back to the original island since the first film. And they remind you about, I mean, there's a scene, right, where some characters actually stumble across the old, dilapidated original visitor center from the first film. And look, I know it's cynical, nostalgic, you know, emotional string pulling, but I got a bit weepy when I saw the banner from the original visitor center when dinosaurs ruled the earth, right, that the T-Rex brought down at the end of the first film.
Right.
I was like, oh man, that's cool. That's fucking, and then they like went to the visitor center and like they were staring at the wall that in the original film the raptor shadows were projected against, and I was like, oh man, like fucking cynical filmmaking or not, cynical thought process or not, like this is taking me back and I'm enjoying the ride. And it was that was one of the callbacks to the original film. Were one of the big things that won me over. Also, the guy in the control room who was wearing the Jurassic Park t-shirt. Oh. And he's like, I got this on eBay. And his boss is like, don't you think that's in bad taste? People died. He's like, whatever, it's awesome.
See, here's the thing though. It should say something though about this movie when the best parts of it are the things that remind us of another movie.
Yeah, no, I'm completely aware of that. That's kind of where I'm in a weird position. I'm completely aware that it's completely heartless, it's cynical, but I just don't care.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the original Jurassic Park, which was re-released like last year in theaters.
2 years ago, actually.
2 years ago.
It was released in 2013 for the 20th anniversary of 1993.
Right, okay. And the thing, like you and I have discussed before in private and on the show, the original Jurassic Park holds up amazingly well. I mean,
it does. It does. It really does. It was probably the best film released in 2013.
Right, and even the CGI effects from the original still hold up pretty damn good today.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize, right, is because Jurassic Park has this well-earned reputation for pushing the boundaries of CGI and kind of, like everything about modern CGI that we know today owes a debt of gratitude to Jurassic Park. So a lot of people think it's all CGI. There's actually a lot of practical effects in Jurassic Park in the original film.
Yeah, most of the film actually was, I think there was like 7 minutes of CGI in the entire first film.
I know the big CGI, the 2 big CGI moments in the first film were that first scene where Grant sees the brontosauruses,
right,
the apatosauruses, and then there is the scene where the T-Rex chases the Jeep with Malcolm in the back,
right,
where he's like, "Must go faster."
And then the finale where the T-Rex is fighting the raptors.
Anytime the T-Rex had to really move a lot, anytime you saw the full body of the T-Rex or the full body of the Apatosaurus, it was CGI.
Right.
But the raptors, a lot of people don't realize that the raptors were either puppets or guys in raptor suits, and I have seen the cutouts of those suits, and I applaud the stuntmen in those things.
Yeah, so, I mean, the first movie has a well-deserved but overblown reputation for its
CGI.
Right.
But like, I think that's what dooms, what kills off, and yeah, we talked about this earlier, Jack, in private, that, in a lot of ways, it's not even the fault of the film that it no longer wows us in terms of CGI. No film does, because we're so used to it, but, okay, there's two scenes that are decent parallels for each other. In the original film, Dr. Henry Wu, who makes his long-awaited return in this film, but in the first film, Wu hands Grant the raptor egg, right? When they're in the lab.
Yeah.
And it hatches. And that's actually a puppet of a baby raptor that they've got there. And you can tell that, Sam Neill is interacting with something that has quote-unquote hatched from an egg. He is interacting with a physical thing. The beginning of this film actually starts off with the hatching of the Indominus Rex egg. And you can tell it's all CGI, and it's very well done CGI, but you can tell that it is still computer generated imagery. And as a result, it just doesn't have that same wow factor. I remember being 6 years old when my mom took me to see the original Jurassic Park film and being blown away. And maybe it's because I'm older, maybe I'm more cynical, maybe it's just that, movies have been this way forever by this point. I just didn't get that same, oh my god, I'm looking at a real life dinosaur feeling that I got back then. And maybe I'm being unfair and holding that against this film, but if I'm being completely honest, that's what I felt.
Well, here's the thing. This film didn't try to, it could have delivered that. It could have been the new first Jurassic Park for this generation. Mm-hmm. But it didn't. It didn't seem like it was really trying to. Instead it was, and it could have done both. It could have both pandered to us and given, kids who were our age when we first seen the original movie, could have given them what we had.
Yeah. And
it didn't. Mm-hmm. It spent more time pandering to us, and you've seen very few shots in this new film that really gave you that sense of grandeur that you had with the first. Like, in the first it was like, welcome to Jurassic Park, and you see the gates swinging open, and then, you see these brachiosaurs and all this other shit just marching in their herds and all this other stuff. And they tried so hard to show the various species of the dinosaurs on the island and, what they thought they were like. And in this movie, it treats this, because this park, this park in this film, Jurassic World, has been open evidently for a decent amount of time. Mm-hmm. And it literally basically says, this is old hat.
Yeah.
These dinosaurs are old hat to everyone now. A Stegosaurus is as commonplace to see as an elephant to these kids. We need something bigger, better, badder.
Although, see, here's the thing. A lot of the justification for the Indominus Rex, for genetically engineering a raptor and T-Rex, and I don't feel the need to spoiler that. They treat the fact that it has raptor in it as a big spoiler. You and I, Jack, were saying this is probably half raptor, half T-Rex when we first saw the trailers.
Right, and this is one of my problems with the movie, aside from the treatment of the dinosaurs aside, because it would be one thing if they'd said it's old hat, yet still made them feel special to the audience, but they don't make the dinosaurs feel special. Mm-hmm. They do treat them as if they're just commonplace old hat, and it loses that sense of wonder that the original film had, much to this film's detriment. The other thing is that the Indominus Rex, at the end of the day, is just a giant fucking raptor.
Yes.
And it's really underwhelming, to me at least.
I mean, you bring up a good point, because, they even had the perfect vehicle. They had basically, what was it, a 10, 11-year-old kid?
Right.
As one of the main characters. And that would have been he would have been the perfect vehicle. Not that the first film needed a little kid, although it did have Tim, which kinda, I guess, filled that role.
Tim was a jackass.
Yeah, but he was. But, they had a vehicle for which to convey that sense of wonder in the form of the little kid in this film, and they really didn't take advantage of it. But, in the first film, I remember, when Hammond goes, we clocked the T-Rex at 40 miles an hour, and Alan Grant is like, you have a T-Rex?
Right.
And, it's the most amazing thing he's ever heard. And here, It's like, oh yeah, the T-Rex is here and he does things.
Yeah. And, the only really remarkable dinosaur in this movie, it wasn't the Indominus Rex, it was the fucking Mosasaurus.
Yes.
Which was just awesome because spoiler alert, whatever, wah, don't care. At the end of the movie, you have this fight between the T-Rex and the Indominus Rex, which that fight could have been done a lot better too. That
really
fight
could
was
have,
was very anticlimactic.
I was pumped up when it started, and then it kind of just fizzled out.
Right, and it's almost like the way this fight resolves itself. Indominus Rex versus T-Rex. Mosasaurus wins. What?
Yeah.
And it's almost like they just said, fuck it. We don't know how to resolve this satisfactorily, so we're not even gonna try. There, Indominus Rex just got fucking 8. There, we're done. Good night. Thanks for your $10. And, I don't know, and like you were saying with the kid, right? This kid that they could have used, and I know I'm hopping about here, but guys, keep in mind, me and Mike have been hanging out for like last 2 or 3 days. We're both pretty shit-faced right now. I mean, we're usually shit-faced when we do a show, but we're more so tonight. But anyway, so, they had this kid that, like you said, could have been used as a vehicle, or a viewpoint character of sorts for, children and...
A protagonist.
What?
A protagonist.
Words, okay. To give the sense of grandeur and exploration and, oh my god, this is new and this is awesome. These are living dinosaurs, oh my god. But instead he spends half the movie weeping and crying in his fucking beer. If the kid had beer, he should. Don't drink it.
Mom and Dad are getting divorced. I'm like,
they never expanded on that. That was useless. They never did anything with that.
It was fucking useless, and it was also okay, we've got a film about dinosaurs. We don't need stupid family drama.
Right. And like, not only that it was useless.
Alan Grant was never crying into his coffee about his relationship status.
Right. And, I don't know, it was useless from so many perspectives. Like you said, this is a film about fucking dinosaurs. What do we need this shit for? Secondly,
it's kind of like R.I. Derp, though, with like the kid.
Right.
Every now and then the kid in Robots in Disguise 2015 would be like, I don't know how to relate to my dad. I'm like, kid, whatever fucking personal issues you have, resolve them off screen because you're not why we're here.
Secondly, whatever purpose they could have had for putting this in the film was negated by the fact that they never followed up on it.
No, they don't. It's like they bring it up, and it's like, oh, that's sad, and then it's never brought up again.
Right. It was a subplot that they started. They never bothered to finish it in any way that I noticed, at least.
This seems like it could have used one more draft where maybe that plot line was slowly phased out, but they stopped the process one draft too early, so there was still just a bit of it left.
And I mean, besides eating up like 5 or 10 minutes of screen time, what purpose did this serve?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And like at the beginning of the movie, their mother, I don't know her name. I don't know if they even said her name.
They did. I can't remember it.
Which that right there tells you something as well, folks.
I know her sister, the lady running the park was Claire, yeah.
And the only way I remembered her name is because that's the name of the chick from Resident Evil.
I just remember it because the kids kept yelling about Aunt Claire.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah, Aunt Claire.
Who's apparently a bitch. She hasn't seen her nephew in
but
she's
7
years.
Hot.
She does rock the pantsuit.
No, she wasn't in a pantsuit. She was in a dress.
Oh yeah, so she was in a dress.
Got ripped.
But she still
very
had
nicely.
She still had a sports jacket, though.
Well, yeah, she had a sports jacket, but man, anyway, sorry guys, I'm not gonna,
She was a redhead too, so forgive Jack for being all wobbly kneed.
Yeah, nothing's wobbling over here, sir. But anyways, so they had her, but the mother at the beginning of the movie was like, well, you need to look after him, the kids, and she's referring to the younger one being alone with the older brother, and she says, cause sometimes he can be, whatever the older brother's name was, can be so mean to him. And you never see that in the movie. I mean, the kid he wasn't ever really mean to his little brother.
And if anything, he was just a bit interested in girls, so he'd like sometimes ignore him to like flirt with some other girls he saw, but other than that, he wasn't mean. Like,
right. I mean, he was kind of like, yeah, with the whole, parents are getting divorced thing, he was like, yeah, well, suck it up, let shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he wasn't uncaring about it. He was saying that he was honestly trying in his own way to make his little brother feel better.
I mean, I want to say he was like stock teenage older brother character, but he really wasn't, because he was a bit nicer than that.
Right. So, then, you have a subplot that was laid out in the beginning, which not only wasn't resolved, but contradicted in the rest of the film. And that whole thing just seemed like it really wasn't thought out very well.
I have a feeling that they're kind of going for the Tim and Lex thing from the first film, where like relatives of the person who runs the park show up, but it really didn't work that way. It really didn't work out that way, in my opinion. But
and then you have Star-Lord as the Raptor Whisperer.
Oh yes, Star-Lord the Raptor Whisperer, yes.
Which
I do admit I did get a bit of a chuckle when he was with the Raptors and one of them like growled. He's like, "Don't give me that shit!"
Yeah, it had some funny moments, but at the same time, Chris Pratt is a good comedic actor. Mm-hmm. It's kind of his shtick, right?
Yeah.
And he could have been... I was kind of going into this looking for him to be kind of like a Jeff Goldblum type of character, right?
Yeah.
And there was so little of that. You got very brief glimpses.
I mean, at the end of the day, he's kind of got the same arc as Goldblum. Like in the original film, Goldblum was like, you can't control nature, everything you're trying to do is doomed to failure. And Chris Pratt's character kind of has the same thing going on, where like he's warning the InGen guy about the dangers of trying to weaponize raptors.
Right.
And he's like, oh, you can't do this, you're doomed to failure. Like, so it's kind of the same themes that Goldblum's character Ian Malcolm had. But they really, I mean, not once did Chris Pratt slap a dinner table and yell, "You're selling it."
Yeah, and that's what this movie, it needed a good comedic foil.
Yeah.
Or it needed some bit of wit and intelligent humor into it, which Chris Pratt is very capable of delivering.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't give it to him. And it's not his fault. He did fine with what they gave him, but they didn't give him enough. And like, you see glimpses of his humor here and there, but it's never, they never maximize it. They never use it to its full potential. And,
I kind of got the feeling they didn't know whether or not to make his character Alan Grant or Ian Malcolm, so they kind of just decided on both.
Right, and we got the worst of both.
Yeah.
And we kind of got like the preachy pretentiousness of Ian Malcolm and like
the practicality and knowledge of Grant.
Right.
Not really anything that made Grant charming.
Yeah, exactly. And they took the charm out of both Malcolm and Grant and put all the serious business shit into one character, and it comes across as a waste, honestly, because again, Chris Pratt is a funny guy, both on camera and off. He's a funny guy. And one of the few things that had any merit in Guardians of the Galaxy was, however stereotypical it was, the Star-Lord character as he portrayed it, being kind of this wisecracking smart ass and all this other stuff. That was, one of that movie's only decent points, so it wasn't enough for me to really save the character of the movie, but it was still a highlight, such as it was. And so you've got this guy who's capable of being quite funny, and quite warm and open with his humor, and you don't do anything with it. So again, you have another case of potential with this movie that wasn't filled. And that's kind of like the real overriding theme of this movie is potential that wasn't fulfilled.
Indeed, but I do want to talk about one other thing that kind of redeemed the movie a bit in my mind. I already talked about the previous. There were two things. The first one was kind of their callbacks to the original Jurassic Park film. The second for me was how I kind of got the sense that the writer and the directors and the writers and the director were kind of pissed off at studio mandates.
Oh, yeah.
Because
focus groups.
Yeah, because so of course this film has the Indominus Rex, a made-up dinosaur, and they even have characters mentioned throughout the film. Chris Pratt's character mentions it. The control room smartass guy mentions it. Like, we've got dinosaurs. Why do we need to make up a new dinosaur? Like, dinosaurs should be enough. And the answer is always, well, focus groups say they want something meaner and faster. And I just imagine that being like the process of Jurassic World, where like in the early stages of film production, they're like, what dinosaur should we use as the villain? Oh, well, focus groups say they want something meaner and faster than T-Rex. So I kind of get the feeling that they kind of took that plot point, they fulfilled it, and then they kind of mocked it a bit. How, like, the Indominus Rex is just the product of cynical focus groups.
And, throughout the franchise, you started out with the Raptors, then it became the T-Rex, then it became the Spinosaurus.
And there's nothing bigger, there is no predator bigger than the Spinosaurus, so.
So they had to make one. And personally, the Spinosaurus remains my favorite, of the three quote-unquote antagonists in this series. But, I don't know, like, the Indominus Rex itself could have been a lot cooler. They could have done a lot of different shit with that.
I do like how it made them all look like scrub lords by tricking them how it got out.
Yeah. Fooled you, bitch! So, not to beat a dead horse, but yeah, the movie is good. It could have easily have been fixed. To have been a lot better. Drop the dead weight of the subplots that either A, don't make sense, or B, don't go anywhere. Drop that shit. Give Chris Pratt some funny shit to say here and there, and you'd be good.
A good way...
And redesign the Indominus Rex to be more than just a big fucking raptor.
And it is kind of funny, where, there's one funny bit about the Indominus Rex, where the owner of the park, right, he shows up to Dr. Wu's office, and he's like, what the fuck did you do? What the fuck did you create? He's like, you're the one whose memo said make it meaner and cooler. Did you expect animal with predatory features to not be a predator? Like, yeah, he's got him there.
Yeah, and that's true. They kind of almost portray Dr. Wu as a bit of a human antagonist in this movie.
Well, that's another thing.
Seems kind of contradictory to the way he was in the first.
The first he was just kind of a naive scientist who was like, I just, I didn't think about what I was doing.
Right.
And here it's like he's full on in bed with like the seedy workings of InGen. And I'm like, I guess it makes sense, like, if he just became jaded over time, but I don't know. Dr. Wu was always sort of a minor character in the first one, but again, I love the first film. The first film, like, I hate the question, what's your favorite movie? Cause you say that and like 10 different movies spring to mind.
Right.
But, like, if you put a gun to my head, what's your favorite movie? It's the first Jurassic Park. Yeah. And Dr. Wu, as minor a character as he was in that first one, he's still a memorable part of it, and seeing the character back, the original actor, gave me the warm fuzzies. And so, you know what? Cheap as it might be, Dr. Wu helped make this film for me.
So, I guess to prevent us from beating a dead horse, basically the movie's good. We do recommend going to see it. Take your kids to see it, whatever. Maybe they'll enjoy it. Maybe they're not as jaded as we are. But,
jaded and old and cynical.
Or, better yet, run out and buy the original Jurassic Park on Blu-ray and show it to them on a big-ass fucking TV. And they'll be all the better for it.
I still maintain it was the best movie released in 2013.
Now, moving on, we had some wild shit we wanted to talk about, right?
Yes, we did. We're gonna get into the video game stuff, obviously, and we're gonna start off with WoW. This was not E3 related. This was done in a Q&A with the developers, with main developer Ion, Hazakatosis.
Ian Hazakostas.
Hazakostas, yes.
Yeah.
It's spelled Ion.
Right, it's Ian. Yeah.
I have a feeling he's Greek.
You think?
Anyway, this is not E3 related, but it did come out around the same time. So we're gonna breeze through this, and then we're gonna get to the meat of the show, which is E3.
Yeah.
But, in episode 56, we talked about flying. Basically, their, answer on flying was that, anyone who thought that the developers were stringing them along on flying, they were mistaken. Flying was an ongoing debate, within Blizzard, And finally they realized that they had to settle it because it seemed like they were stringing the player base along, but that was never their intention, and that they wanted to get an answer out.
Well, here's the thing. Like they said, they made some kind of comment about, what was it? They implied that it wasn't fair for the player base to react like Blizzard never intended to give us flying in Draenor at all.
Yes, they said the player base was wrong when they assumed that flying was never going to be in Draenor.
Right. Well, here's the thing, and bullshit. I call fucking bullshit because that's exactly what Blizzard goddamn said.
I remember it. I remember it. Same as you, yeah.
They said they didn't know if they would they never said that they wouldn't put flying in Draenor at all, period, but they kept saying, well, we don't know if we are. They never said, well, we want to. It's something we would like to see, but we want to rework how it's achieved and how it plays out into the overall experience. They never fucking said that. They said, we don't know if we're going to give it to you or not. So, yeah, the player base reacted to what you fucking said.
Exactly. And again, this kind of goes into a thing about communication. If the flying debate is truly ongoing, don't string the player base along. Say, look, we're having discussions about flying. We honestly don't know. It's not one way or another. We are discussing it. Like, be open, be honest. Nothing will come, nothing bad will come of just being open with the player base. Worst thing that will happen is that the player base will go, I disagree with that. But at the very least, the player who says, I disagree with that, will understand it. Will understand why you did something, even if they don't like it.
And so, yeah, so there's that. And, now, we have been hammering Blizzard pretty hard over this patch 6.1 thing. Basically, the fact that it had no content was a major content patch. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically, their explanation, we finally did get somewhat of, well, we as in the players, they haven't replied directly to anything that Bags has admittedly trolled them with.
Actually, they have.
Oh, really? What?
Nothing that we've directed at Mr. Feasel. But I did, through the Bags Twitter account, ask them about, look, why was 6.1 just a content patch and just a minor content patch? And they responded, basically, we've been working on other things. They responded to our tweet. What I take from we've been working on other things is that they probably devoted most of their time and energy to whatever comes after Warlords of Draenor.
So what, did we make it on the front page of MMO Champion again then?
Maybe in the next round of Twitter updates, but I just saw this in our Twitter feed.
Oh, just now?
Not just now, but over the past couple of days, yes.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, Bags, taking Blizzard to task for the shit, the things, the stuff. We are doing the awesome.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But, they did address 6.1 further in this, developer Q&A, which we did not take part in because it was Saturday evening, and Saturday I was exhausted from driving 10 hours, 7 of which were through the state of Ohio. But patch 6.1 was known for 3 things. 1, Twitter integration. 2, the selfie camera. 3, having no actual new content.
Right.
So they addressed all 3 points. 1, on Twitter integration. Twitter integration wasn't a high priority feature and didn't take away from outdoor content. It was a feature that a few programmers worked on. It wasn't a convenience, it was only a convenience added for players that already use Twitter. On the selfie camera. The selfie camera was a side project from one designer and programmer who worked on it for a few months. There had been many features that started as side projects, such as the hard-to-find Hunter's Pets, toys, and the Brawlers Guild. On 6.1 being light on content, 6.1 was extremely light on content and might have been better named patch 6.05, but it was a small set of upgrades. However, using a major patch number may have been misleading. The team had just launched the expansion and was going on holiday vacation but wanted to get some fixes and improvements in before the next major patch.
Well, that's all well and good, but I don't believe the sincerity of that statement, and I will tell you why. If that were the case, then they would say, so there will be 2 major content patches, there will be a 6.3. There's not going to be a 6.3.
No.
So, we're getting 1 actual content patch, not the 2 that we were told we would get. We're getting 1 major content patch and a half-assed, dick-handed apology. They knew what the fuck they were doing. They knew. They've been doing this for over a decade. They know what players expect from a major patch.
Indeed,
because
they
have set that expectation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I get it. You know, they're busy working on quote-unquote other things. I understand they're trying to, they're trying to shorten the expansion cycle, and it's probably because they were working on the next expansion. Awesome. Good on you. Let's hope we get it out fucking soon. But at the same time, you can't neglect what you've got. Because that's what your subscribers see. That's what your player base sees.
They lost 3 million subscribers over 1 quarter. I have to believe that's due to an extended content drought, in part perpetuated by 6.1's lack of content.
Right. And then they go on to say this boneheadedly, stupidly obvious statement where they're like, well, in an MMO like ours, outdoor content is important.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no fucking shit.
Indeed.
I mean, what the hell? What did you think would happen? How did you think players would react? These are the same people that put so much thought into the smallest thing that they do or say that they're basically looking for fiber in their own shit, and yet this big glaring hole in logic just slipped by and no one thought about it? I don't fucking think so.
Indeed. And look, I don't care how you meant it to come across, Blizzard, but saying we all wanted to go on holiday vacation just makes it sound like you were sitting around on a Friday at 4:30 right before the holidays were about to start, and you're like, oh shit, we should
Stay
probably
in school, Blizzard loves you.
Exactly. Exactly. They're
Say
like,
no to drugs.
They're like, holy shit, we need to come out with a content patch. Oh, well, what random miscellaneous bullshit do we have lying around, the development floor?
Well, Harl's been working on the cat anus patch.
Well, we've got Twitter integration and a selfie camera. Okay, Ship it. We'll call it 6.1.
They're selling it.
Indeed.
But yeah, so I mean that basically in a nutshell, what's happened with 6.1 is a complete failure to communicate intent on the part of the developer team. Secondly, they are evidently legitimately I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because there's still plenty enough to blame them for that they did poorly. They're evidently legitimately working on other content that we may actually get to see before we die or the game dies. So that is that. That's evidently, that's as much of an explanation as we are going to get about 6.1. I want, Mike, sometime after we're done recording, or if you can if we can think to later on tonight or tomorrow, let's do some follow-up tweets and be like, okay, well, we get it, but this is still being very poorly communicated.
It was poorly communicated. It's like, look, back when all of these questions first started firing, if Blizzard had just come out from the start and said, look, we're committed to the shorter expansion cycle. We want to get the next expansion after Draenor out faster, so 6.1 suffered because we were focused on other things. We were focused on making the next expansion, as good as it can be. Fine. I mean, people probably would have been like, well, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with your priorities, but I understand why it happened.
Right.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that Blizzard needs to realize, that fan bases are surprisingly forgiving so long as you're honest with them.
Right.
And if you just say, look, A happened because of B, people will at worst say, that sucks, I don't agree with it, but at least I understand why it happened.
Right, exactly.
And stringing players around without answers or with half answers, it's not the way to do it. And it's something that WoW has suffered from lately, where it almost seems like the developers are scared to give real answers, and then once they finally get around to doing so, it's like, this wouldn't have been a problem if you had just done this from the start.
Right, and even now the answers they're giving are they're kind of glib.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the explanation that we're going to be getting. I don't think there's any point in pressing further for more, because it's just going to be a rewording of the same story.
Indeed, it will be.
But that's pretty much just what's going on with 6.1.
Also, one more thing about patch 6.2, which is sure to cause a lot of QQ. This is about the Warlock class.
Right, yes.
So one of the 3 specs that you can spec into for Warlocks is called Demonology. This is what they had to say about the Demonology spec for Warlocks. Quote, there are some concerns with how Demonology plays right now. You need add-ons to play it well because of how complex it is. It was also the best spec through the entire game all around in terms of balance. And so Warlocks that wanted to play another spec were kind of forced to go Demonology. It's still viable in patch 6.2, but it won't be the best anymore. The best spec changes over time, and so now it's Demonology's turn to be the worst spec for now.
Right, and that's a very glib answer.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, I'll give them points for at least justifying their reasoning, but they're basically saying, yeah, we deliberately made this spec suck, but it's quote unquote viable. And I mean, that's not a way to do it, because, okay, so they're saying, well, people wanted to play specs that weren't Demonology, but they couldn't because Demonology was the best. So, alright, so now people who want to play Demonology because they actually like it, they're just fucked and you don't give a shit?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. I mean, it's one of those things, like, you kind of just go like, oh man, this could have been worded better.
Yeah. It really could have. I don't know if they were trying to channel, like, Ghost Crawler's biting sarcasm or whatever.
Nuke it to the ground!
But if that's what they were trying to do, then they failed miserably.
I mean, Ghost Crawler was over the top asshole. This is just kind of passive-aggressive assholishness. There's a difference. There's a fine line, but it's there. But anyway, let's leave that behind, and let's just jump into E3, sir. Let's jump into E3.
Yeah, because there's a lot of shit to go over here. So, this week was E3, the Electronic Entertainment Expo, I think is what it stands for, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It was held in Los Angeles, and I believe it just ended today. So,
yes.
So, what immediately following E3, everyone talks about, well, who won, blah, 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 blah. I can tell you that, honestly, I think Sony won. We'll get to why here in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start off with Microsoft, though. Now, well, right, yeah.
Okay, it wasn't the disaster that was last year where they were threatening to charge people for borrowing games from their friends.
Yeah, they didn't, they didn't shove a dildo soaked in lemon juice up their own ass on stage. They didn't, they didn't fuck themselves, and they didn't try to fuck us. But it still wasn't all that great. So
no.
And admittedly, now we caught maybe the last 2/3 of the Microsoft press conference. Basically, they're introducing some kind of backwards compatibility with Xbox 360, it would seem. Now, I don't know if that's going to be where you can, put your games in there, if it's downloadable or what. I don't know. But what they did say is,
and this is a direct
quote. We're not going to charge you to play games you already own.
And for Microsoft, they're proud of that.
Right.
Like, we're not gonna be complete douche nozzles.
I mean, that's like
shower praise on us, peons!
Right, I mean, that's like Germany coming out and saying, hey, it's been 80 years since we've tried to commit genocide.
Yeah, it's like...
You're not supposed to!
You're not supposed to!
That's frowned upon!
You're not supposed to, Germany! Stop patting yourself on the back!
Right, and, it's like Microsoft being up there saying, hey, we're not gonna try to fuck you. Well, you're not supposed to. What do you want, a fucking cookie?
Yeah, no, that was their, okay, I wouldn't say that was their big one. They had two big things. They had a timed exclusive, for the, debut of Fallout 4.
Fallout 4, which is a huge game, and I'm kind of butthurt that it's not coming to PS4 immediately, because that's what I've been looking forward to.
It'll get there eventually, though. Like,
it is one that is going to make me think about getting an Xbox. I hate to say it, but
I mean, not me, but I admit that I'm a anomaly when it comes to being a gamer. I don't feel the need to have something right away. Like, I kind of view games like I view movies almost.
Right.
It's like, wait a week and the lines will die down. That's kind of how I view games.
I mean, it's gonna be one of those things where, like, if I have the money, if I already have a PS4 is still going to be first.
Yeah.
Fallout 4, no. PS4 is going to be first, and we'll get to why here in a moment. But, yeah, but it's going to be like, okay, well, if I have the money, yeah, I will get an Xbox, and I'll fucking get Fallout 4, because of that. And
hey, Kyle doesn't need both kidneys.
I know, right? So, it's,
take one for the team, man. Take one for the team.
And of course, I mean, there's other games on Xbox One that I wouldn't mind playing, which I think are exclusives as well. I can't think of them off the top of my head. But I mean,
well, they've got Halo, obviously.
They've got Halo, and they did go over Halo 5. The thing is, like, most of their AAA big titles, and that was a theme for this year from E3 for the most part, like, most of the AAA titles just seem kind of like, meh.
Who was it that said everything with guns was boring?
Stuttering Craig from Screw Attack.
Yeah, and I gotta give it to him there. I mean, he's right.
Which is a sad thing for a gamer to say.
Yeah, I mean,
what state have we gotten into where we're like, yeah, all that shit with the guns just looks boring.
I remember back when I was a kid when GoldenEye was the hottest fucking game, in the fucking world, and now we've gone to the point where
it's ubiquitous.
Where first-person shooters are splat, and like, you killed it. You gave us too much ice cream, man. It is the perfect example of too much of a good thing. We all loved GoldenEye, and everyone jumped on that goddamn bandwagon. And now you gave us all too much ice cream and we're suffering from ice cream headaches.
And the thing is, now, what was conspicuously absent from Xbox One's presentation was anything Call of Duty related.
No, PlayStation actually got a timed exclusive on that.
Yeah, it would appear, it seems at least, I'm inferring at least that PS4 will have some kind of exclusive on Black Ops 3, either timed or whatever. I'm guessing it'll probably be a timed exclusive, because Microsoft did not mention fuck all about it. And
I can't imagine them cutting the Xbox off entirely. It would have to be a time exclusive, but I mean, the Xbox Live community eats that shit up, eats that Call of Duty Modern Warfare crap up. I mean, they're not going to leave money on the table. They're not. It'll be a timed exclusive for Sony, and that's probably why Xbox couldn't mention it.
I mean, maybe they have, maybe they're banking on Halo 5 to fill that gap, and it will to an extent. And Halo is honestly, of the two franchises, Halo is the one I would rather play.
I mean, but Halo at this point, and all of these games with guns, basically at this point, only exist for multiplayer.
Well, that was just it. Now we'll get to Black Ops 3 here when we talk about Sony. Mm-hmm. You have been right up to this point. There were things said during this press conference with Sony that made me think differently. Next, though, we're going to go to Nintendo, who I would say was probably the runner-up and who won E3. They had a good showing
They liked their marionette puppets.
Yeah, God. And Nintendo was the one that Mike and I think, were most eager to see what they were going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because last year they hands down I thought, trounced everyone, with what they were offering. And this year, they did as good this year as they did last year, I think.
It's just that Sony had one major trump card.
Sony had a couple of major trump cards, like 3 of them to be exact. But Nintendo had a very solid showing. Now, we had reported earlier in a previous episode that Nintendo had said, well, we're not going to get Zelda this year. And so instantly, we start talking about, okay, well, they've got to have something to show at E3. What's it going to be? Everyone pretty much said, well, Star Fox, I guess. And we were right. Star Fox, the lead up for Nintendo's presentation, which this presentation also had that note of kind of they're trying not to appear as taking themselves too seriously.
No,
and,
I do want to point out that the puppet show, honestly, that started off the Star Fox presentation, where 3 of the Nintendo bigwigs turned into Star Fox characters. None of them were Slippy.
Yeah, none of them were fucking Slippy. It was
nobody wants to be Slippy.
Yeah, they turned into
Falco, Fox, and Peppy.
Right, yeah, Falco, Fox, and Peppy. Thank you. And yeah, and we're like, yeah, no one wants to be fucking Slippy because fuck that guy. And so, immediately we're like, yeah, Star Fox. So that they show the game. It does look cool. I wish they would have shown a bit more. I'll do a search on YouTube after the show and see if I can find some more footage of it. I would like to have seen more of Star Fox. But what we've seen looks good. I know, Mike, you seem kind of concerned about how the Wii U controller, which you're already not that big of a fan of, is going.
I'm old school. I'm very old school when it comes to controllers. As I said about an hour ago, when you and I were just kind of bullshitting with some old video games. If I had my way, the original NES controller is all a controller ever needs to be.
And frankly, I disagree. And you would think if anyone would agree with you, it'd be me on that shit. I'm all about the retro. But those original NES controllers, I mean, they're good, they're serviceable, they'll get the job done. But yeah, you can do better. But anyway, so I know you have some concerns with how it's going to work and whether or not it's going to be an enjoyable experience. From what I've seen, it looks like they're doing it well. And it's going to allow for a lot of things that you couldn't do before. I think it's going to be a learning curve, perhaps, to...
Well, my only concern is that I'm a bit concerned when Nintendo gets experimental with their Star Fox controls with a new controller scheme, because that that Nintendo DS Star Fox game, they got a little bit too far up their own ass with working in the touchscreen controls.
That they did, and that game was an abomination. But this is different. I like to think that they've learned from their mistakes.
When I gave it to you, when you traded it in, you're lucky that the trade-in wasn't, I won't punch you in the face for making me take this.
Now that you're in the same house with me, I may punch you in the face for inflicting it on me. I haven't forgotten, sir. I have not fucking forgotten. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic. It looks good. Another big thing that Nintendo is popping out, showing that they are a meaning business. What are they? Earthbound Beginnings, I think they called it. It's basically a translation that is now available on the eShop for the Wii U. It is a port over of the prequel to Earthbound, known as Mother in Japan. And most people have been wanting Mother 3 to be translated for U.S. audiences. We didn't get that, but we did get one of the games that we didn't have over here. So this shows that Nintendo they're taking things seriously. They're trying to come out with the big guns. And I know a lot of people may be thinking, okay, well, so what? This game has a huge following. I'm not among them. I've never played the original Earthbound. I will one of these days. I just haven't gotten around to it. But it is a beloved franchise, both in Japan and in the U.S. And in the U.S., it's been very neglected. That Nintendo has not done a lot with it. But they are giving us this, so I'm sure a lot of that will sell systems. That in and of itself will sell systems because the base for this game is that fucking devoted. So and Star Fox,
Indeed.
of course, will sell systems.
Star Fox alone will sell systems. Mother/Earthbound Beginnings, as they're now calling, because I guess Mother was never really the best name to begin with. That'll sell systems, but honestly, let's talk about the thing that perhaps hampered Nintendo's ability to win E3. Because, you were saying, up through all this, you were saying, I want to see a new Star Fox game, and I want to see a new Metroid game. And, sir, you got your new Metroid game!
So help me Christ, Mike. I will you're not in Canada right now. I will fucking throttle you.
Let's talk about the new Metroid.
You're in my world, bitch!
Oh god.
So, yeah, we're going through they're showing like this montage of these games that they're bringing out. And like the whole time I'm sitting here, I'm like, Metroid. And, yeah, I see this weird looking fucking game come up. And I'm like, what? And it looks like just vaguely Metroid-ish enough to make me be like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like Metroid Prime, something or other ball.
It's Metroid Prime Federation Force.
Metroid Prime Federation Force. It's Metroid Sports Ball. And Metroid Prime to boot. This is what I wanted. I wanted a 2D side-scrolling classic Metroid game. Not necessarily done up in retro-style graphics, because I do want the series to move forward and progress. But I don't want it to be a first-person shooter like Metroid Prime was. Now, I know Metroid Prime also has a huge following, and is regarded by many, it is, the best subsect of the Metroid series. That's fine, that's your opinion, and you're very much entitled to it. God bless. But at the same time, I wanted it to go back to its roots.
Now there are two games basically here. There's Metroid Prime Federation Force, which is a first-person shooter game.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is Metroid Prime Blast Ball, which is...
so I thought they were the same game.
Blast Ball, I think, I'm not sure if it's either the same game or if Blast Ball is simply a game mode that you can play on Federation Force. But the thing is that you are looking for a classic style Metroid game, a classic game where you played as Samus, and you're not getting that. We're not getting that. Instead, we're getting this thing, Federation Force, where you play as, I guess, some, fucking schlubs. And then, Blast Ball is basically a sports game. It's basically Blitzball from Final Fantasy X, if anyone remembers that.
And the thing is, I remember saying several months ago when we were talking about the Metroid franchise, and I said, well, Nintendo has a habit of, they kind of treat Metroid a bit differently than they do like Mario. They don't release a whole lot of frivolous side games that cheapen the franchise. I remember saying those pretty much exact words.
Oh god.
And here we fucking sit.
Well,
frankly, I'm kind of walking crooked right now.
I kind of view it as sort of a monkey's paw thing, because since I got here, you were like, man, E3, I'm hoping for a Metroid reveal. You got a Metroid reveal, sir! You were just not specific at your monkey paw wish.
Well, see, and part of the reason for me wanting a Metroid reveal wasn't even necessarily that I'm that huge of a fan of the franchise.
I am. I like Metroid.
I do like it. But it's not like a Star Fox or a Zelda or a Mario for me. But I do like it. I wanted it for Nintendo's sake.
They needed it.
Right, they need it. And I know they're not going to win this console war, but I at least want
that ship sailed
yeah,
a long
yeah,
time
exactly.
ago.
But I at least want them to place. And they need this. They need to come out with everything.
15th is a place, sir.
Right. Right? Shit. But, and Maybe, I don't know. I'm going to spin this. I'm going to spin the fuck out of this, and I'm going to say maybe they're tossing this out to get awareness for the franchise back up.
That you're saying that this will just be a placeholder until they get a proper Metroid game out, and this just keeps the franchise in the public's mind?
Yeah, exactly. I know that's really reaching. I know it is, but that's my story and I'm going to stick to it.
I mean, okay. I'm sorry, having a Metroid game without Samus is like a Mario game without Mario, or a Star Fox game without
Fox. Yeah, but they've
Fox.
done that. Hell, they've done a Star Fox game where you're not even flying, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, the worst part about that was that they teased you with one level of flying until like, fuck you!
And people liked it.
Those people are wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, we know that because we're above them. But, you know.
Utermenches!
Right? So that was pretty much Nintendo and, Mario Maker.
Okay, that's all I'm excited for.
Yeah, really interesting because you can, basically make your own Mario game now if you want. And it has multiple skins. You can go classic. You can go, I think Mario 2, Mario 3, Super Mario World, or Mario Wii U style for the graphics. And you can pretty much do almost anything you want with it. And they brought back the Nintendo World Championships after 25 years of not having one. So that right there also, good for Nintendo. By
the way, the Nintendo World Championships is a bit anticlimactic. The two guys they had in the finals were neck and neck till the final stage, and in the final stage, one guy couldn't get past the fucking first part of the zone.
Yeah, evidently his nemesis, his Achilles heel, his kryptonite is wall jumping. And this poor bastard, he could not do it to save his fucking life. And I felt bad for him because he had done so well up to that point, and this one thing was just giving him fucking fits. And
the other guy's like halfway through and he's still on like the first fucking
right.
I'm like, oh god, this is just sad. I don't want to watch this anymore.
Yeah, it was bad. And Mike
Stop hitting him. He's already dead.
Yeah, and Mike and I were sitting here and we're watching it, and you know, it was really awesome up to that point. And we're like, oh man, this is going to be great, you know, these guys are fucking great, these guys are good, they know what they're doing. And this dude just fucking chokes. This poor bastard, he just fucking choked. He couldn't wall jump if they'd had a gun to his granny's head.
I'm sorry you had to die, Grandma!
Yeah.
But, I didn't feel too bad by the end of it, because they both got the DSs signed by, that one Nintendo guy.
Shigeru Miyamoto.
The guy who we can basically thank for modern video games.
Yeah,
And at the end of the day, the only thing that the world champion, the guy who won, got, that the runner-up didn't, was like a trophy. And honestly, I'd rather just have the DS signed by the guy.
Yeah, I'd rather have that too. Because I mean that man, he is the Jimmy Page, he is the Robert Plant of video games. I mean, pretty much everything. The modern video game industry would not exist as we know it.
What did he do? He did Super Mario Brothers. He did Star Fox.
Super Mario, Star Fox, Zelda, Metroid, Nintendo's top the company that put home video games. Pokemon. The company that put home video games back on the map.
After Atari killed it dead.
Right, after Atari killed it and shat in its corpse's open mouth, Nintendo and Miyamoto come along and they give us the beginnings of what we've got now. At some point, home video games would have come back, Miyamoto or not. But the thing is, it wouldn't be the way we know it. Almost everything that we've got now, it stems from that one Genesis, that one tree that was planted that he planted the seeds for. So yeah, I would love to have a DS signed by him or anything fucking signed by him. I'd be stoked. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and the actual winner did get a golden Mario trophy, which I said to Mike, I'm like, yeah, he's gonna fucking pawn that shit so he can get plane fare home.
Yeah, it's in Los Angeles. That's not a cheap fucking flight.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's good that they brought back the Nintendo World Championship. I think it's awesome. It's one of those things, look, Nintendo, you need to suck your players' dicks. We need head. You are
not in any position to ignore any of us.
Right. We need your lovin'.
I have seen your sales numbers, Nintendo. You are not in a position to turn away fans.
Well, not only that, I mean, okay, their sales numbers, the way they treat people on YouTube and Twitch, they need to give us some fucking love. And,
I've seen them close down Twitch streams of Pokemon. It's like, this is free advertising for your game.
Right, exactly. And, they need this Nintendo World Championship Resurrection, the redeadening. It's giving us a little bit of a fondle down below, and I like it. I like the way their hand feels on my junk. It's a step in the right direction. They're bringing back some of the things that made them what they are, and they need to go back to that. And I was glad to see it. But yeah, the Mario Maker. And what was really cool with the Mario Maker presentation was they had an interview with Miyamoto, and he showed us, back in the day when we were riding dinosaurs uphill to school while fighting Nazis, this is how we designed a level in a Mario game. And it was a really interesting process.
Yeah, they would sketch it on graph paper.
Right.
And they mentioned how it would get messy trying to edit.
Yeah, and so they would put transparent tracing paper over it. And that they would, edit in they would put in their edits on that and then send it off to the programmers who would then, code it into the game. And now they're just basically, they literally said they're giving us the tools that they now use to make the Mario games. Mm-hmm. And there's just
do our work, bitches.
Right? Yeah, exactly. On one hand, it's do our work, but it's such fascinating and awesome work that we're kind of doing their job for them. I wonder, I'm almost wondering what this is going to do to Mario games in the future. Is it just going to become passé? Is there going to be a point to doing another 2D Mario game anymore? I hope there is, because I want to see Nintendo, playing the player created content will be great. And, fucking around and making my own that makes no sense because I, drank half a bottle of bourbon before I did it. That's going to be fun and everything.
500 booze!
Yeah. Hey, Mike, play this. I know that you said that you would be now purchasing a Wii U, correct, sir?
That was mostly for Star Fox.
Yes. But Mario Maker's a nice bonus, you gotta admit.
It is. It is a nice bonus.
Or is it Metroid Federation Force?
Oh, no, that was Federation Force was the DS.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, they did release a Zelda. It wasn't the next Zelda game that they were releasing. That's still in development. That's still pushed back. But they did release a DS Zelda game where you've got 3 links, basically, and you put them on each other's shoulders to complete tasks.
Yeah, and
and you dress them up, and it was weird.
Yeah, it really was. It starts off, it was after Star Fox, it was one of the first games that they showed. And I'm like, ooh, Zelda game. Cause
I thought this wasn't happening.
Right, yeah. Because their most recent Zelda game for the DS was the actual sequel to Link to the Past, which I have not played this game yet. I desperately want to. It looks awesome, and I've heard wonderful things about it. But I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh my god, sweet, we're getting some Zelda love. And I'm looking at this game, the more they show of it, the less enthusiastic I got. And then they get this thing of you end up dressing Link up in some kind of fucking fruity looking costume.
Well, there were a couple. There was Samurai Link. There was Bomberman Link, and then there was Gay Pride Link.
Yeah, Gay Pride Link.
And it's like, guys, Final Fantasy X did this. Final Fantasy X-2 did this with the different costumes.
And at least then it was in the name of fan service. They don't even have that.
Well, speak for yourself.
Well, I mean, okay. The thing is, though, it's not being rendered enough to be arousing for anyone.
No, it's all like chibi cartoons. Yeah. Even if you are into that, it's still not doing it for you.
Right, exactly. So, but that, in the nutshell, was the Nintendo presentation. We will move on to the best, which we have saved for last, Sony.
Second to last. I still want to get to EA's presentation after Sony as, like, the burnout round, like the crash and burn round.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Alright, so let's talk about Sony and their PlayStation presentation, because they fucking just, they're like, oh,
it was
that's
Christmas.
cute.
It was, yeah. They're looking at Microsoft, because Nintendo's presentation was today. Nintendo actually went last, but we didn't talk about them in chronological order. They looked at Microsoft and they're like, oh, isn't that cute? Well, let's show you what we got. And boom.
You all ready for this?
Boom. Right off the fucking bat. The Last Guardian. The long-awaited sequel to fucking, Shadow of the Colossus and Ico, whatever you want to call it. Again, not a series that I'm really a fan of.
But a lot of people are.
Right, a lot of people are, and I recognize how huge this is for the people that do want this, which I'm in a minority. So, congrats to you guys. You know, good on ya. Bam, right off the fucking start. Then, after that, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
And
Bam!
And you could tell, they're showing the trailer for the remake to Final Fantasy VII, and as soon as you see the Buster Sword on Cloud's back, and people are aware of what's happening,
people's heads melted.
You hear, yeah! I'm like, yes!
You heard, like, and a couple people, like, orgasming in the fucking crowd. And not like the boos that they got when they're like, oh, Final Fantasy's coming to PS4, Final Fantasy VII, and it's a Steam port. And it was like, God damn you. You know, people fucking lost their minds. It was insane.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, 8 and 10 are the last bright spots of the series.
You mean 7 and 10?
Yeah, no, I mean, 7 and 10.
I thought you said 8 and 10.
No, I said it and 10.
8 and 10. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, 8 and 10 are the last bright spots of the series.
And Sony had said, or Square Enix had said something about, you know, they didn't want to do a Final Fantasy VII remaster or remake or whatever because they didn't want people thinking that Final Fantasy VII would be the pinnacle of the series.
But let's be honest, it is.
I guess they're taking their words back now.
Well, let's look at some of their recent offerings. 14, which was unplayable. 13, which is a linear piece of shit.
13 and its 2 fucking sequels.
And its 2 sequels. So let's be honest. In retrospect, maybe 7 was the pinnacle. Just saying.
But, I mean, they're giving people what they've asked for. And they're getting the love in response to that.
Okay, so what happens after 7?
A new game, a new franchise. It looks really interesting. It's called Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
And now this seems to be kind of like your standard adventure story, adventure RPG kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. It's the setting that kind of makes it unique. Like it shows, it's post-apocalyptic. You see like this cave chick or whatever running around with her bow and arrow, and you can see in the background like, you know.
Katniss Everdeen!
Yeah, kinda, yeah. And, you know, you can see, like, the old human cities in the background and all this other shit. And there's, like, fucking robot dinosaurs everywhere.
Go Power Rangers!
And they're like, well, you know,
bear,
you know, the records of the old ones don't, you know, say why the fuck these things are here. Just that this balance can't be maintained, or something to that effect. And I'm guessing, you know, this entire story is this woman's journey to find out what happened to humanity, what, you know, how the apocalypse came about, and why there's giant fucking
Twitter,
robots, right? And you know why the fuck there's these robot behemoths just wandering around.
She's gonna find a video log from the guy who invented Twitter. We didn't know! We didn't know!
Exactly. And then that was followed by this other game that is really interesting. I don't know how good of a game it's going to be, but it's an ideal application to me of this new generation of systems. Like, you and I have talked about how, well, we have photorealistic graphics and all this garbage, and that's great. But, you know, since you've got all this extra processing power, let's use it for something other than graphics. Mm-hmm. You know, let's put that memory and that computing power to work.
you can only go so far in photorealism before it just becomes pointless.
Right, and this game does, and I forget what the fuck it's called. I totally forget what it's called. But this game, it's a fucking universe.
Mm-hmm.
It's a goddamn universe where you just go to planets, and they have their own ecosystem and their own life and their own whatever the fuck. You literally just pick the star amongst the star field, any of them, and just go to them. And, you know, there's
Freedom Planet?
Lol.
Is that it?
Maybe? I don't know. But yeah, and it does have like space combat and shit like that, so maybe there will be some kind of story. There was very little given. Mostly what was being showcased was the vastness, the sheer and utter.
Uncharted.
No, not Uncharted, no.
Okay.
Yeah, you just showed your ignorance. But
yes. I can't remember it either.
But anyways, you know, just the vast, unfathomable nature of this game. So fucking huge. And just the perfect, to me, the perfect application of, you know, why this generation of consoles should exist. Because up until this point, frankly, I've doubted their necessity.
Mm-hmm.
But now that you're showing me, hey, this is what we can do with it, sign me the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the kind of shit that I will eat up all day long. You know, give me something more cerebral than a jackass running around with a gun.
Okay, it's called No Man's Sky.
Yes, that's it.
what
Yes,
it
yes,
was.
yes, thank you. No Man's Sky, definitely one worth watching. Now this wasn't highlighted in the Sony presentation, but I've gotta fucking mention it because it's me. Godzilla.
Dun, 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 dun,
coming to...
dun, 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 dun.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Coming to PS4, this August 17th. This game looks amazing. It's got so many of the monsters in it that I've been wanting to see in one of these games. Hedorah, Gigan, and of course, you know, you have your ubiquitous umpteen bajillion versions of Mechagodzilla. You've got King Ghidorah, Mecha King Ghidorah, because why the fuck not?
Well, he was in the films, so.
It will have multiple iterations of Godzilla as well. One of them being the 1990s version. I don't know if it goes back further past 1990s, but it does also have the 2014 Hollywood Godzilla, conspicuously absent 1998 Godzilla, much to the relief of everyone involved. So, yeah.
I liked during the trailer they had the Mechagodzilla 3-way.
Yeah. And Mike's like, ooh, I want this now.
They also had, they had Jet Jaguar.
They had Jet Jaguar.
The electronic robot.
Yeah, it said electronic robot, Jet Jaguar. I'm like, what the fuck, as opposed to the robots who aren't electronic? What the shit, guys? So then they go into, and this is one of the most, arguably the biggest thing about Sony's presentation.
I'd say this single-handedly clinched. This could have been their only announcement, and they still would have won E3.
Yeah, PlayStation TV is announcing the first a la carte television service.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose the fucking channels you want.
Yes, you can. Through PlayStation TV, you will only pay for the channels that you want to pay for.
And that is just mind-blowing. I mean, that's never been available before.
No.
I don't know, and it's been an FCC thing here in the States, and I guess probably something similar in Canada, where for whatever reason that wasn't allowed, or that wasn't, you know, what have you. But the internet says fuck you to all of that. You know, we're living in this age where
net neutrality, bitches.
Right, we're living in this era where, you know, the rules of television are just being rewritten, and among that is this whole thing of, you know, how we watch TV, what channels we watch, and all this other shit. Now they can do that, and they're now going to be doing it.
Ever since cable became a thing, it's been like the lowest hanging fruits for stand-up comedians. Oh, like 500 channels and nothing's on.
Right,
It's absolutely
exactly.
great. Now, you don't have to pay for 500 channels. You pay for the 2 or 3 channels that you watch.
Exactly.
And yes, maybe PlayStation's prices will be absurd, but that's not the point. The point is that they're doing it, which means that other companies will do it too, and eventually the prices will come down as competition in this market thrives.
Yeah. So yeah, they didn't mention any pricing or anything like that. They just simply said it was something they're going to be doing, and like Mike was just saying. Even if it is too pricey for most to want to be bothered with, that doesn't matter quite as much right now because they're the first ones to do it, and the fact that they're offering it means that others will be inclined to do so to compete and throw their hat in the ring too. And this is the beginning of that revolution. Mm-hmm. And about fucking time.
Indeed.
There was one other game that I meant to mention. I need to backtrack just a little bit to this.
Okay.
Because I completely forgot it. There was so much to remember with the Sony conference that this one kind of slipped my mind. Back in the days of the Dreamcast, there was released, it was basically like the first open world MMO of sorts. This is before GTA and all that other garbage. It was called Shenmue, whatever. Shenmue, I think is the way it's pronounced. But anyways, it was supposed to have been a trilogy. They only made 2, and then the Dreamcast went tits up. Well, now the maker of that game, something or other, he announced a Kickstarter during the Sony press conference, saying, hey, I'm here, I want to do the 3rd installment to this finally. I'm ready. He asked for $2 million. He got it within 24 hours. And like when I seen the Sony press conference, I went to look at the Kickstarter, and even while I was sitting there, like over the hour or so that I had it pulled up on my computer while I was doing other things, like another $200,000 came in just during that 1 hour. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is another one of those series that I've never played, so I can't tell you one thing good or bad about it. Mm-hmm. But I also recognize, again, how big this is to so many people, and the numbers are showing it. The dollars that are pouring into this man fucking show it. And
I mean, just in terms of some of the Kickstarters I've seen, I saw play with this too, that former Hasbro employee action figure Kickstarter failed to reach $85,000 in 2 months. This guy raised $2 million in 24 hours.
Yeah. So
and he didn't even have anything other than say, hey, this is an idea for a game I want to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty damn impressive, and it shows the following that still exists for this game that's, about 15 years old. Mm-hmm. This franchise, it never got finished, so, yeah, I thought that was really cool. I think that was mostly it with the Sony presentation.
That was pretty much it, yeah. I'd say, I mean, there's so many things, but again, I maintain that if they had only just had the PlayStation TV news, they still would have won E3 just on the strength of that. Just for the implications that news has.
Yeah, I agree. Also, likewise, with the Final Fantasy VII remake, if they had just had that, they would have fucking won.
It is insane, the reaction that garnered.
Yeah.
People it was like, my body is ready!
And I was just sitting there, I'm like, oh my god. Oh my god. It was all I could do to not fucking run in the living room and like shake you awake and be like, dude!
Just remember, people, you can now see Cloud Strife cross-dress in high definition.
Well, we know what you're looking forward to.
Oh, yeah. Shake
but, so yeah, moving on then to, the dishonorable mention of EA.
Oh, this was great. So, Let's start with the yarn guy. So, EA announces that basically they stumbled across some indie studio in Sweden that was creating this yarn-based platforming game called Unraveled, where the guy who you control, jumping on the platforms, is made of yarn, and he strings yarn around, and he uses yarn to propel himself and to kind of use as a tool to grab things. It looks like a very artistic game, very kind of something a kind of aesthetic we really haven't seen before. Kind of very warm, very homesy, very sentimental, I guess, in scope. And this game, EA said this is something that you haven't seen before, and they were right. And they bring out the Swedish guy, who is the head of this independent studio that EA is partnering with to get this game, produced and out to the public. And this guy, man, I mean, he was nervous.
Yeah, you could tell he was very much out of his element. I mean, he said he runs a studio of like 14 people.
In Sweden, yeah.
Yeah, in Sweden.
In North Sweden. It's not even the populated part of Sweden.
Right, yeah. So he runs this little fucking tiny-ass game development studio in this fucking podunk rural area of Sweden, probably. And he comes out onto the stage, however many tens of thousands of people screaming and applauding and all this other shit. And instantly he got this, like, deer in the headlights look.
I mean, his elbows were shaking, his knees were shaky. This guy was nervous. He was stuttering. And not even just English isn't his first language. Like, you could tell he was nervous.
Yeah. His English, when he was able to, speak without stuttering from nervousness, his English was quite good. So, it wasn't necessarily a question of that.
But he even had a yarn doll that he made, which was the impetus for this game. And he was going on that he had, he had this story, he was on like a family vacation, he was camping with his family, and he was inspired by like the Swedish countryside, and he made this yarn doll, and he took pictures of this yarn doll all over. He created environments in his head based on what he had seen, based on the positions in nature that he put this yarn doll, jumping across rocks, kind of sneaking through the forest, and he's basically pouring his heart out. This is like his life's work. And they show a trailer for this game, and it's really sweet looking. It's hitting all the emotional chords. And you could tell the guy is nervous, but he is just so happy to be there to share this labor of love with everyone. And after his presentation is over, not even 30 seconds after he's done, highway to the danger zone!
Jesus, I apologize to both of our listeners for that singing. The Unraveled trailer had just immediately ended. It wasn't even probably 5 seconds after that trailer ended. And this dude is no longer to be seen on the stage anywhere. He got yanked off, I guess. And they start playing fucking Highway to the Danger Zone.
Kenny Loggins.
And some fucking chode in a zombie
mascot
superhero mascot costume, comes running out acting like a fucking jackass. And it's like, enough of you.
Leave it to EA to follow the most emotional moment of a man's life. With fucking Kenny Loggins, some jackass in a zombie costume. Acting like a chode.
Yeah, it just seemed like a very EA thing to do. Like,
Jack and I were surprised when their CEO, walked on the stage and he was not in Palpatine robes.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice if, like, the CEO had come out and, like, maybe, said to the guy, well, thanks for coming out and sharing that with us and blah, 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 blah. Give him another round of applause.
Yeah.
Give this poor trembling man some love.
He looked like he was gonna cry over yarn.
Yeah. And that was one of the tweets that they showed, like, I think this guy's going to cry over yarn or something like that.
At one point, he did say the yarn was love.
The yarn is love. No, not really. But, well, my cat seems to think so. But, yeah, the yarn is love. Highway to the Danger Zone. So.
Yeah, no. And of course the zombie and the Highway to the Danger Zone, that is, in reference to, the other big game that EA announced, which was, Plants vs. Zombies 2, which is now a shooter.
Yeah. Weird.
Which is a weird direction to take. It's not what Plants vs. Zombies was.
No, it really wasn't, but, okay.
And it's weird though, because Plants vs. Zombies is one of those cult followings, like it has a very dedicated fan base, and I don't know if changing genres up is necessarily the right move.
So now, since you're the sports guy here, what did you think of the litany of sports promotional material for the latest round of games that EA had to offer?
Well, now I've gone on record saying that my, the yearly cycle of abuse that is the Madden fan's life, I'm ending that. I am being the one to say no more. And I had said that I was gonna cancel it. I was gonna stop it. I was not gonna buy next year's Madden. This was their chance to get me to change my mind, to get me to reconsider. They did not do that.
Yeah, I didn't even really see anything they didn't even seem to say that anything was different.
They emphasized passing. They said that this is gonna be the year that passing is emphasized, because the NFL is now a very pass-heavy league. Funny thing is that they've been spending the last couple of years building up the run game. And so they're like, fuck all that! It's all passing now! So that was their big thing. I mean, hypothetically, that would have been something to get me interested, because I, as both a gamer and as a fan of football, I tend to prefer the passing game to the running game. I just find it more exciting. But maybe if this had happened 3 years ago, I'd be more excited. I'd be more stoked about it. But I'm just too jaded now. I'm sorry, Madden. I'm not doing it. I'm not getting Madden 2016. It's not happening. The NHL game looks interesting. The graphics wise, of course, they all look fantastic. And the NHL will probably still, shell out money for it because it's the NHL. And, hockey just has that soft spot in my heart that football never will. They really seemed proud of their soccer game, FIFA 16. They even brought Pele out.
Which, does your average gamer give a fuck about Pele?
Well, I was unaware because I'm both a gamer and a sports fan, but apparently, according to you, sports game fans are apparently outsiders within the gaming community that the gamer community does not care for.
Yeah, well, and to be fair also, first-person shooter fans a lot of times are lumped into a similar category. I believe they're sometimes referred to as the bro gamers, kind of a thing. They're viewed as basically like the dumb jocks of the gaming community. And this is my thing, and this might be a bit contrary to what you would expect me to say on this topic. Because, in general, with the exception of the NHL, you know how I feel about professional sports. To me, a game is a game. A gamer is a gamer, except for those mobile things. Fuck those things in the ass. But,
EA was also pimping their mobile, bullshit.
But, I mean, I enjoy sports games on occasion. Hell, you and I played NHL 15 a couple of hours ago. And I plan to get a copy when I can. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
And you kept running into my goalies.
It wasn't running into, it was honestly assassination attempts. I mean, look, you can't take a guy with a wargaming background and expect him to immediately curtail himself to the subtle, graceful nuance of hockey. I mean, I'm getting out there and bitch, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
And I did. Time after time. Bam, bam, bam. I'm like, dude, I'm going to send all of your players to the hospital.
There are no innocent civilians.
You may outscore me and technically, quote unquote, win, but at what cost?
You might win, according to the man.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. But yeah, I mean, to me, a game is a game, right? I mean, if it's enjoyable gameplay, if it's well constructed and well done, and fun to sit down and play, then it's as legitimate as anything else. And yeah, I also even apply that to first-person shooters and MOBAs. The thing is, with me, I don't hate a game. I don't hate a genre of games. I hate the people that play them. I hate the communities that form around these genres.
I'm just disappointed, for all the hype they gave FIFA, because they kind of ran all of their EA Sports titles together. It's not like each game got its own presentation. They were all kind of mushed together, and EA was hyping this new, their new system. It's like, via online play, all of our games will have interconnectivity like never before, blah, blah, blah. So they were all kind of, mushed together. I'd say FIFA, out of all of their sports titles, got the most screen time, got the most airtime. I mean, they even brought out Pele, of course, for that.
Which, I don't know,
yes, go on.
I admit, for a lot of like the sports game presentations, I kind of zoned out. I really didn't pay much attention to, especially when they brought Pele out, because I don't care about soccer. I don't care about, most of these sports games. And I was just kind of, watching it mostly for just academic purposes.
As far as soccer goes, Pele's a big deal.
Right. I mean, I know who he is, but my thing is, like, why were they emphasizing the FIFA games so much? Was there something?
You'd think with recent happenings in the world of international soccer, they'd want to downplay FIFA.
Right. So now what would this, now I know that you had a really innovative and interesting, compelling idea for a new play mode for the FIFA game.
I know, this was my big disappointment. For as much as they were hyping FIFA, I thought an opportunity was missed, because set bladder mode, okay? Like, let us play as the president of FIFA. Let us take bribes from third world shithole countries. With economies primarily fueled by slave labor. And let us, corruptly put the World Cup in these locales. Like, I mean, it could be even a thing, right? Where, you play set bladder mode, and you're the president of FIFA, and like certain countries give you cash bribes, and if you don't, fulfill their desires well enough, like they leak the proof to the press, and you're screwed. So you gotta walk that fine line. I think there's a lot of potential in set bladder mode in FIFA 16.
Except for one thing, we already have Grand Theft Auto.
But think about it. Set bladder mode. It's like, congratulations! You've received enough in bribes to buy an apartment for your cat. And they could even have a thing, right, where like you use their mobile app to scan your cat into the game. And
that was funny too. Oh my god.
They brought some guy up for the NBA game. Like, they're introducing, obviously EA's had this thing for a while now where you can scan your face into the game for creative player mode, but they're kind of taking it to a new level with this mobile app.
And it's like they went out of their way to find, how do I want to put this? The most urban individual you could look for, like a gangbanger, basically.
You could not find a more stereotypical black man from a ghetto as the kind of guy they found.
Right, and it was almost like and he seemed kind of disingenuous, like he was told to dress and act that way.
It wouldn't surprise me if they found a black actor and was like, hey, just be street.
Right, exactly. I mean, it was like a racist caricature, almost.
But they bring this guy on stage and they're like, okay, you're gonna scan yourself into the NBA game for create a player. And he's like, okay, so he scans himself in with the app. He's like, yo, dog, I look like me!
Yeah. Oh shit, dog, that looks just like me, yo! And me and Mike are just sitting here like facepalming like, oh my god, are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? And it was just, my god. I'm convinced it had to have been an actor.
Yeah.
It had to have been a fucking actor.
Like, nobody is that in real life. Like,
No.
like anybody, you take a stereotype of any group, nobody is the ultimate expression of that stereotype naturally. They found, like nobody could be that. They found an actor and were like, hey, play this part.
Right, and it's like, I don't know who should be more insulted, the black community or gamers, or people with just sense, because it was just a failing on every level.
I just love the line, I look like me!
I look like me! Well, what the fuck did you think you'd look like, you fucking idiot? I mean, seriously?
God, it was fantastic. On like an absurd level, it was fantastic. But, I don't know. All of their sports games are kind of mushed together. I honestly admit I kind of zoned out for the Pele stuff because when they brought Pele out on stage, it was kind of like it stopped being about the FIFA 16 soccer game and it was more like, let's interview Pele about his life as a soccer player.
Yeah, and really, okay. I get it, if you're going to the EA conference and there's a chance there that, basically it was a warm audience.
Yeah.
So, you probably did have some sports fans there in that audience. Mm-hmm. But on the whole, like, your average gamer isn't going to care all that much. Mm-hmm. There aren't many people who, the division tends to be you're either a sports gamer or you're a quote-unquote regular gamer. Yes. There aren't many who are just like, I like good games. Mm-hmm. And I don't see why they would think, most people would be interested in that at all.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man.
And also, with the whole Pele thing, you've got the added thing of, it's in America. We don't give a fuck about soccer.
The only thing I can gather is that Pele, as great of a soccer player as he was, as much of a soccer icon as he was, he is kind of a whore when it comes to licensing.
It's a good match with EA.
Exactly. So I get the feeling it's one of those things where like they offered him enough money and he agreed to come out. But again, given a lot of the news in the world of international soccer, you'd think FIFA would be the FIFA brand is something they'd want to downplay.
Well, and that was really weird too because like I didn't know, I could never really tell why they were upselling this FIFA so hard because like I don't recall them mentioning anything special about this year's iteration.
No, I mean, it's the same, everything that they emphasize about FIFA, they emphasized with other games. It's got improved online capability, they're improving their online quote-unquote leagues for online multiplayer. Everything about FIFA, honestly, the two things that they spent the most on that were franchise specific were, one, the scanning your own face, create a player thing for the NBA game, and the fact that they're really emphasizing, passing offense for Madden. Outside of Pele, there was nothing really special about the FIFA 16 reveal. But another thing about the Madden, thing. I'm not buying Madden 16, but I've been buying every Madden game since 2002. And god damn it, they're now, and this is another thing that makes me not want to buy the next Madden game, is they're holding players' hands for it.
Oh, yeah, they build it saying, well, we want to make you an even better player. Mm-hmm. Even if you're an experienced Madden player, you can still get, insight on, how to play just a little bit better and blah, 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 blah.
The Madden engine hasn't changed in 13 years. I can play it in my sleep by now. I don't need EA to fucking hold my hand with, prompts. This is what you press to catch the ball!
They would beg to differ, sir.
And it's like, God damn it. And yes, I understand that not everyone, people younger than me, 13-year-olds today might not be able to play Madden in their sleep. But when I was 13 years old, I figured it out. So, God, I don't know. Dumbing down of sports games, just video games in general is something that's been happening. But Madden, honestly, and the reason why Madden has survived where other football games have perhaps fallen off, it's because Madden's gameplay Madden's gameplay as it's been is very intuitive when it comes right down to it. People bitch about EA, people will bitch about the Madden series, but at the end of the day, the gameplay is very solid, it's very intuitive, and it's not something that you even need to be handheld because it's that well designed. They did a fantastic job on it, what can I say? It's intuitive, it's well designed, it's simple enough that, you get the gist of it when you first pick up the game, and this is it's just hand-holding, and I don't even know why you feel the need to do that when you have such a solid product, on its own.
Yeah. And now, did you bring a Madden game down with you?
No, I didn't.
I
didn't. I have the latest Madden game, actually, but I did not bring it down, unfortunately, but I don't know. The decision I had to not play to not buy any more Madden games kind of came when I first bought Madden 15. I bought Madden 15, I got it home, I put it in the PS3, and I started playing it, and I was like, Mike, what are you doing? This is the same goddamn game as last year's.
Did it at least come to you in my voice?
It might have, yes.
Mike, you fucking idiot. What the fuck are you doing? Do you know how much beer you could have bought for $60? Jesus Christ, dude.
I'm just playing it, and I was like, oh, this is depressing. And then so I turned it off, I put it back in its case, and I tossed it. I must have buried it deep in my game drawer. And when I was packing to come down here, it's like WWE, 2K15, NHL 15. That's it. And I must have just blocked out. I'm like, no, I don't want to see it. I don't want to look at it. But no, not like we really need it. We could probably go down to page 3 here in Pikeville, get a copy of Madden 2002 for $10. And trust me, everything relevant about Madden 15 is in Madden 2002.
Yeah, you could probably fucking get Madden 13 for $10. Shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but anyway.
Hey, man, we need those annual roster and uniform updates.
Oh, I know, right? So, two things I need to backtrack just a little bit, and I apologize.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. We're free forming this segment.
A couple things that were presented at the Sony conference that I forgot to mention. And I forgot to mention because frankly, I'm not interested in them. Mm-hmm. But I know a lot of people are, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about them.
Okay.
The Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Now, you mentioned to me earlier, you're talking about, and you've got the same beef that I've got with FPS games, and that's the whole lack of a compelling single-player campaign.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that they're changing this.
Well, I was watching interviews with the people behind the Halo games. They always have those things after each of the major press conferences where they bring the developers into their little studio and they interview them. Right. And they all have them on couch because we're laid back.
Right.
Anyway, and they were talking about the Halo guys, and they go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about multiplayer, and then the guy's like, oh yeah, and we've got a single player mode. He's like, yeah, I think that'll be exciting for players too, and it was like such an afterthought. And that's an unfortunate part of first-person shooters these days, that they all just kind of exist for multiplayer.
Yeah.
And so, but Call of Duty, the new Call of Duty game, they were committed to letting us know that, a single-player storyline's gonna be impressive.
The other thing that I meant to mention is, the new Uncharted game.
Yes, Uncharted, yes.
And They showed a rather lengthy clip of that, and I don't know if it's actual gameplay footage or what. It was fairly lengthy. The Uncharted has never really quite been my thing. I do kind of like adventure games and such, but it was almost, well, again, kind of like what Stuttering Craig said. Anything with a gun looked kind of boring.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I mean, they all just sort of blend together. They're all seen through brown filters.
yeah.
You see guys in vaguely kind of power armor-ish future warfare suits. They've all got guns. I mean, a lot of these games are graphically impressive. In terms of the engines they're running on, they're very impressive. Technologically, they're impressive games, but the genres just blended so, I mean, it's all just brown mush, basically.
Like, okay, the major offenders of this boring were most of your big AAA titles, like, you know,
Gears of War, Call of Duty,
the new Tomb Raider game, Uncharted, all these games just kind of came across as, whatever. Now, the only FPS game that I was marginally interested in is a Doom remake.
Yes,
and that looked like it might be kind of interesting. I'm not like stoked or even hardly much excited. I'm kind of like, all right, well that could be interesting. Just because it's Doom and, I'm a PC gamer from, the early 90s and such. Oh, yeah. So there's a bit of a nostalgia factor there. So I'm kind of interested to see what that brings about, but I'm not sitting here, jizzing myself. It's not Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'll tell you that right goddamn now.
I wonder if they have The Rock in it, because he was in that one Doom movie that was terrible.
Oh Jesus, I hope not. But so yeah, those are the last two things about the Sony conference that I wanted to mention. Both Call of Duty or Black Ops 3 rather, and the new Uncharted game. They all look good. They can't not look good these days. I mean, they really can't. I mean, that's the standard now.
I just want a first-person shooter game. I don't even know how they'd go about doing it these days, but I just want one that stands out.
Right. And, well, okay, yeah, and they also had, now I forget whether this was Sony. I think this was for Microsoft at the Microsoft conference or one of those shortly after, but the new Tom Clancy game.
Oh, yeah, no, that was Microsoft, yeah.
And again, that was, like, more of the same. Like, there's nothing...
There were two Tom Clancy games, actually. There was Rainbow Six, the new Rainbow Six game, and what was it? The Division? Yeah, The Division.
Yeah, which is kind of like a post-apocalyptic thing, which, like, okay, if any of you guys out there are familiar with Tom Clancy at all, that's post-apocalyptic in Tom Clancy? What? That doesn't really mix.
They must have paid a shit ton to his estate.
Like, I mean, okay, Tom Clancy is known for political thrillers.
Yeah. Geopolitical thrillers, basically, yeah.
Yeah, and just, this whole Rainbow Six franchise, it plays fast and loose with kind of the whole motif of his books anyways. And taking this to the post-apocalyptic level, well... Hell, we had Kevin Costner in the last Jack Ryan movie, so why not?
Well, that's kind of what I was joking about, like, Kevin Costner skin available as DLC!
Right? Just, fuck, I don't know.
And have all the, Jack Ryan actors as DLC skin content. You can be Alec Baldwin, Harrison Ford, you can even be Ben Affleck, if for some reason you want to do that.
Right, I mean, they'd all be like $5.99, except Ben Affleck, and he'd be like 99 cents. And like the poor kid who wanted DLC just to be cool, but like is too dumb to know that Ben Affleck sucks. He would download like that one because it was only 99 cents and that's the most he could afford.
Oh.
And then they'd be like, Ben Affleck, you fucking scrub lord, what the fuck are you doing?
No. He'll the Kevin he and the Kevin Costner guy they're gonna have very lonely online sessions together.
But anyway, so yeah. Was there anything else regarding E3 that you wanted to talk about, or are we pretty much done here?
I think we're done. I just wanted to reiterate that I am stoked about Star Fox. I'm gonna buy a Wii U just because of that.
Yeah, so good on you, Nintendo. You've sold at least one more system, and
I look forward to having the third third Wii U in Canada.
and I should be getting mine back tomorrow. Yay!
Woo!
So, anyways, well, thanks for listening to me and Mike drunkenly ramble on, and we shall see you on Bass this week.
Indeed. You can check Bags out, actually, on Twitter at Basically a Geek Show. You can email Bags at basicallyageekshow@gmail.com. And, of course, you can catch us along with Basically a Sports Show and Basically a Football Show at basicallyasportshow.com, as well as on YouTube, Spreaker, and Stitcher. So, check us out.
No, Mike, we're not renaming this show to Frankly a Geek Show. We're just not doing it. Anyways. All right, good night, everybody.
Later.